Good morning, I am Renu Sharma, Assistant Professor EC Department. Today I am going to start with the next topic of this subject, that is wireless and mobile communication, and the topic of today's lecture is wireless fidelity, that is in short it is known as Wi-Fi. So these are the contents of today's lecture. First I will discuss about what is wireless technology, means its introduction, then what are the elements which are required for set up a Wi-Fi network. Then different topologies that are used to set up different nodes in a particular network, then hotspots, and then how a Wi-Fi network work, then advantages and its limitations. So nowadays, or we can say from the last 10 years or before that also, Wi-Fi is a very common technique, is a technology that has been used to provide the internet connectivity to different users who are connected in that particular network. So this is an alternative network to wired network, which is commonly used for connecting the devices in the wireless mode. So basically, for the purpose of data transmission, we require a network to set up. Then these networks are connected either through wired connection or through wireless. So you can say that when a network is being set up, there is a transmitter and receiver, obviously. So there are conditions when more than one transmitter and more than one receiver are there. So this is a case for peer-to-peer communication, and there is also an option for broadcast. So in case of broadcasting, it is known as one to many, means one transmitter is there and more than one receivers are there, and there is also an option when more than one transmitter and single receiver, or multiple transmitters and multiple receivers are there. So whichever case is there, there is two types of channels which exist, which is used to connect to nodes, and that can be that is known as a channel, and this channel is of two types. First one is wired channel, second one is wireless channel. So in case of this wired channel, a wire has been set up to connect one or two nodes in a particular network. Now the wire can be of different types, like first one is the twisted pair cable, another one is coaxial cable, optical fiber cable. So depending on the number of users which are connected in a particular network, these wires can be considered. So that is the case for wired. Whereas in case of wireless communication, which is the topic of today's lecture about Wi-Fi, that is wireless channel, different set of frequencies are required to be connected, are required to make the connection between different users. Now it stands for wireless fidelity, and it is a generic term that refers to IEEE 802.11 standard for wireless local network, or WLAN. So basically it is wireless local area network. So wireless fidelity means a router has been set up and it is used to provide the internet connectivity to all the users which are using different devices through wireless technology. So that is also a case of wireless LAN also, because in case of wireless LAN, because LAN is known as local area network, where a network has been set up to connect the devices in a very small area. It can be your office, it can be home also, where multiple devices like 4 to 5 different phones can be connected, 3-4 laptops can be connected. So this is the requirement of today, because after COVID, the requirement of this internet for study point of view, for office point of view is increasing, has increased. So this wireless LAN has become the necessity of today's residential area also. So it connects computers to each other, to the internet and to the wired network also. So there are different technology that is associated with Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi uses radio technology to transmit and receive the data at high speed. So there are different types of standards that are declared by IEEE, like first one is IEEE 802.11b. then IEEE 802.11a, and then IEEE 802.11g. So these are the three different types of technologies that are available, and it is used to connect the different networks. So some of the technology, maybe one of the technologies known as Bluetooth, some is known as wireless local loop, WLL. So these are the standards which is given by IEEE, that comes under IEEE. So first we will talk about IEEE 802.11b. So it appeared in the late 1990s, 99 it has appeared. Then its radio spectrum is 2.4 gigahertz. So you can see that in this particular range, means this is the range in which the data can be transferred. That is the case for radio spectrum. Theoretical speed means ideal speed, you can say, for the purpose of downloading or uploading will be 11 Mbps, but the actual speed which is due to some noise which can affect the quality of the signal also during the reception and during the transmission. So the actual speed will be range between 4 to 6 Mbps, that is megabits per second. Then range of operation is 50 to 100 feet is the range of operation, which means that the distance between the router and the device which is being connected, or you can say the distance between two devices in the is in the radius of 50 to 100 feet only. Then it is most popular and less expensive. So this type of standard which is given by IEEE, that is 802.11b, it is having these characteristics. Second one is IEEE 802.11a. Now in this you can see that it is appeared in the year 2001. Then its radio spectrum is 5 gigahertz, where you can see in the previous one it was 2.5 gigahertz. So it is having a larger spectrum. Then its theoretical speed is 54 Mbps. Its actual speed is 15 to 20 Mbps. Now you can see that there is a huge difference between actual and theoretical speed. This is due to the case it is variable, you can say. This 15 to 20 Mbps is variable. Why? Because if you are going to set up the network in an office, then there in an office or in your home, there then there will be obviously no multiple hops exist between the transmitter and the receiver. So obviously the speed will be quite high. But if you are going to consider this particular standard and are going to set up a network where multiple hops are there, means multiple obstacles exist between the transmitter and receiver, then the speed will definitely going to reduce. So that is the case for that is the role of actual speed. Next one is its range, and its range is limited because this is 50 to 75 feet. Now you can see there is a huge difference between the previous to this case, because when the distance is quite large, then definitely the speed will be less. So it is inversely proportional, as in the previous case you can see that this is having the lesser speed but having large distance. So these two parameters are inversely proportional. Next one is it is most expensive technique, that is 802.11a, and it is not compatible with IEEE 802.11b. So the earlier which we have discussed, this 802.11a is not compatible with B 802.11b. Now next one is IEEE 802.11g. So this is the next type of IEEE standard which is been given. It is introduced in the year 2003, means after just 2 years this B 802.11a, this 802.11g has been discovered. Then it combines the feature of both the standards, that is A and B. So this is the main you can say the positive aspect of this 802.11g. Its range is 100 to 150 feet. Now you can see its range has been increased. Its speed is nearby equals to 54 Mbps. So you can see that its speed has increased from the previous case, from 802.11a. Then its radio spectrum is 2.4 gigahertz, and it is compatible with B also. So it is, you can say 802.11g is a hybrid case for A and B, because it will combine both the advantages of A and B standard. Now, next we will come to what are the elements which are required for setting up a Wi-Fi network. So, there are some basic networks which are required, like first first element is the access point. Now, what is access point? Access point in short it is known as AP. It is a wireless LAN transceiver. Transceiver means it can transmit and receive at the same point of time. So, it is a AP is a wireless LAN transceiver or base station that can connect one or many wireless devices simultaneously to the internet. Now, you can see access point is different from router. Its responsibility is to connect more than one devices simultaneously to the internet. The main example, you can see that in your house, if this particular Wi-Fi network has been set up, then 2 to 3 people or more than 2 to 3 also devices can transmit or receive the data at the same point of time. In simultaneously use of the common channel is possible due to this access point. So, that is the main element of Wi-Fi network. Now, next one is the Wi-Fi card. Next element of this Wi-Fi network. Now, they accept the wireless signal and relay the information. So, basically these are the cards which are required for setting up a network, which consist of the identity of the different users which are using that particular network. So, any network or any other device who wants to connect to the existing Wi-Fi network has to authenticate to that particular Wi-Fi system by using this Wi-Fi card. Now, they can be external or internal to the particular network. Means for some time being, if a person is using a particular network, then it is having the information of Wi-Fi card. So, it can be internal or external to the network. Next one is next element of Wi-Fi network which is required is known as safeguard. Now, safeguard, if you know the current if you know the scenario of a Wi-Fi network or any network which is public, means anyone can access the internet using that particular access point. So, first is required its password, means if you want to access the network, there is Wi-Fi, then you need to know the password. Now, anyone who knows the password can access the internet. Now, there are different types of different nature of people exist who can use the network for other purpose also, like for hacking point of view, from security point of view, it is sometimes not very secure to provide the network for public reasons. So, that is why this firewall and antivirus software are installed to protect the network from uninvited users and keep the information secure. So, in this particular case, encryption and decryption is a technique which has been incorporated. When it is incorporated in the system, then the network will be much more secure. So, the main idea behind this encryption and decryption is, let's say at the transmitter side this encryption is been done and there are 4 bits of data. Let's say this is 1101, then modulo 2 addition will be there, and here we are having 15 bits of data which is known as PN sequence, that is randomly generated, and it is also known as your key to the network. Now, let's say 15 bits of data will be there, like 110, and it will extend up to 15 bits. So, 15 bits are there. Now, these 2 datas, like 4 bits is the actual data and this is the 15 bit. Now, these are being modulo 2 added, means modulo 2 addition, like XOR operation will be done, and the resulting data which is of larger having larger number of bits will be transmitted. So at the receiver side also there is a decryption operation has to be carried on, and the same 15 bits which is being used at the transmitter side as an key, that key is also of two types, that is private key and public key. Now this key we require the same key. Now that key has to be XORed with this one, and here at the receiver side the actual data means the received data, and this will be XORed together, and we are going to receive the actual data. So this operation which we have performed at the transmitter and the receiver side both, that is the encryption and the decryption. So basically why we have used it, we have used to secure our data. Now this 15 bits which is generated by a random number generator, that is PN sequence. Now it is of having variable length. You can consider 10 bits also, you can consider 15 bits also, depending upon the size of your data bit. So that is the case for encryption and decryption. Now if third party wants to access the actual data, this is 1101, if they wants to access this data, then they have to know this 15 bit of key. If they know, then they can decrypt this 1101 data, otherwise it is not possible. So in this manner your actual data will be secured. Now next is Wi-Fi topology. So there are two types of Wi-Fi topologies which exist. Like first one is the peer-to-peer topology, and that is known as ad hoc mode. Now ad hoc mode means it is not permanent, it is temporary. The network which has been set up is not permanent, it is temporary in nature. Let's say if a visitor visits your home and wants to access the particular Wi-Fi connection, Wi-Fi network for 1 day or 2 days, so that means that the device is being entered in the network, but it is not permanent, it is been for the temporary purpose. So that is the case for peer-to-peer topology, and peer-to-peer means every device is connected to the access point. Whereas the second type of topology which is being written over here, that is known as access point based topology, that is infrastructure mode, where more than one devices are connected to the main router through different access points. So we are going to discuss each one in detail. First one is peer-to-peer topology. So in this case, peer-to-peer topology, you can say that access point is not required, because when access point is required, it is known as it is being used for the infrastructure type of topology. Next one is client devices within a cell can communicate with each other directly. So that is the case for peer-to-peer topology. Now next is it is useful for setting up a wireless network quickly and easily. So that is the main aim of using this peer-to-peer topology. So in case of peer-to-peer topology, the client devices can communicate with each other directly. There is no access point or intermediate node exists between the different nodes which has been used. So the main advantage of this particular thing is that multiple devices can be connected in a particular network, and they are used for the purpose of transmission and reception, and also the speed of the transmission will be increased, because they can directly transmit the data between the different users. Next is it is useful for setting up a wireless network quickly and easily, because no access point is required. The main time which is invested in a particular network will be there in case of in setting up a access points in a particular network. So that is being it is not required. So this is the setup of a peer-to-peer topology. You can see that these all are the secondary devices, and this is the primary device. The primary device is basically it is responsible for setting up the connection, for making each of the node being used for the purpose of transmission and reception in a particular network. So that is the main aim of this primary device, and this is the main aim of this secondary device. So this is the peer-to-peer topology. Now next one is the infrastructure network. Now in this case of infrastructure network, the client will communicate through the access point. So basically in setting up this infrastructure network, we require a network to be set up through the different access points which are connected in a particular network. Now any communication has to go through the access point. So different access points will be there in a particular network so that they can transmit the data. Now if a mobile station like a computer, a PDA, that is personal device assistance, or a phone wants to communicate with another mobile station, it needs to send the information to AP first, then AP will send it to destination mobile station. So that is the main aim of infrastructure network, where different devices will be connected to another device using this access point. So that is the main aim of using this particular type of access point. Now next one is known as the infrastructure network, which has been set up. So that is the case for infrastructure network. Now next one is this is the network which has been set up in case of infrastructure network. Like you can see, this is the backbone of the bus topology. This is the backbone of the bus topology. Now in case of bus topology, as you can see that different devices are connected in a network which is connected directly to this backbone, where these devices will be connected. Now this is known as the access point. Now access point is responsible for connecting all the devices, not all the devices, some of the devices directly to this backbone. Now you can see that this is directly connected, but these laptops are connected through access point to the main backbone network. Now this backbone is also known as the Ethernet. So these are the printer, file server, then PC, which is connected to this Ethernet network, and then these are the access point to the these laptops are connected. So that is the infrastructure network. Now next is a hotspot. So a hotspot is nothing, it is a geographical area that has a readily accessible wireless network. Now hotspot is basically, you can say, a area in which different users will exist, and they will going to access the internet connectivity to transfer and receive the different types of data. So that is the case for hotspot. Now the hotspots are equipped with broadband internet connection and one or more access points that allow users to access the internet wirelessly. So as you can see that in your mobile phone also there is a mobile hotspot option will exist. Now that is different from this hotspot. In case of mobile hotspot, if you know that if you are going to use that mobile hotspot option, then any user who knows your password, who knows your network's password, can access the internet connectivity of your phone, for their own purpose. So that is the case for mobile hotspot. But in case of this type of hotspot which has been described over here, it means that a geographical area has been set up in which different users can locate there and then access the internet point. Now this is the picture which has been showing that you can see that this is the area which is providing the internet connectivity to all these users. So these type of network are being available at railway stations, means the places where different types of users are are being there, and they wants to use the network for some time being. And also this type of networks will be set up at library of a college, where the different users wants to use the internet connectivity. So there are charging points are also available, where you can charge your laptop, you can charge your different devices, and also access the internet. So that is, a hotspot can be set up in any public location that can support an internet connection. All the locations discussed previously are examples of hotspot. So this is the case for hotspot. Now next question arises that how a Wi-Fi network will work. So in case of this Wi-Fi network, a Wi-Fi hotspot is created by installing an access point to an internet connection. So these are the steps that you have to follow to set up a Wi-Fi network. These are not the steps where you have to connect to a Wi-Fi network. When you are going to set up a Wi-Fi network, so these steps has to be followed. So first one, it is created by installing an access point to an internet connection. Second is, an access point will actually act as a base station. So if you remember the concept of mobile communication, where the geographical area is divided into different cells, and the shape of these cells are known as hexagon, are similar to that of hexagon. Now, at the center of each hexagon, a BTS has been installed. Now, this is known as base transceiver station. Now, these are nothing, these are the antennas which is going to connect the devices which exist between different which are going to exist in that particular cell. Now, there are two types of antenna options are available. Like first one is the omnidirectional antenna, which will be installed at the center of each BTS, where it will going to radiate their energy equally in all the directions. So the radiation pattern of a omnidirectional antenna will be a spherical. So the gain of these antennas will be equals to unity 1 decibel. And another type of antenna which can be used for wireless communication, for mobile communication in this BTS is the case for directional antennas. Now, these antennas has to be installed at the edges of these cells. Now, there are two types of sectoring may be possible, like 120-degree sector and 60-degree sector. In case of 60-degree sectoring, each cell will be divided into 6 equal areas, and in case of 120-degree, each cell has to be divided into 3 equal areas. So that is the case for directional antennas. So there are two types of antennas which exist. Now, when Wi-Fi enabled devices encounters a hotspot, the device can then connect to that particular network wirelessly. So, another important point which you have to keep in mind while installing a Wi-Fi network, that a single access point can support up to 30 users and can function within a range of 100 to 150 feet indoor and up to 300 feet for outdoor operation. And many access points can be connected to each other via Ethernet cable to create a single large network. So that is the case for a Wi-Fi network. These are some of the advantages of the Wi-Fi network. Like first one is mobility. Obviously, in case of wireless, the main advantage is that the transmitter and receiver can move from one place to another without interrupting the internet connectivity. Next advantage is easy for installation. Third one is flexibility, which is it is going to provide. Then cost, reliability, security. Now security means encryption and decryption, which has to be required installed at the transmitter and receiver both. Next is use unlicensed part of the radio net spectrum. Next it is roaming and speed. So these are some of the advantages of Wi-Fi network. Next one is the limitations. So interference is one of the limitation, because if it is being set up outdoor, then multiple users are going to use the particular kind of shared network and multiple hops can exist, but in case of indoor setup this is not the problem. Next one is degradation in performance, and then high power consumption will be there. Last one will be the limited range. Since when we are using this Wi-Fi network, then this limitation plays a very important role, because when you are setting up the network for your home, then it is providing high speed internet connectivity, but when you are setting up for the outdoor application, when the distance is quite large, then their limitations will exist, where you can be limited to some area for the transmission and reception purpose. So, today's lecture is all about Wi-Fi, which is being used from a decade, you can say more than a decade. So, this is a very interesting topic, and you can consider these reference books for this, for more knowledge about these topics. Thank you.